The Tipping Point with Mike Tipton is brought to you by Dubby. What is Dubby? Dubby is a clean energy drink that is made to give you focus with no crash, jitters, or angst like those other energy drinks have. They also have no maltodextrin fillers and don't use artificial dyes. Dubby contains vitamins, amino acids, a nootropic, and 150 milligrams of caffeine. Dubby's products are made in the USA in an FDA-inspected facility that strictly adheres to GMP manufacturing guidelines. All of the flavors are unique and custom-made by Dubby, and you'll never taste our taste anywhere else. The best part about it is they're affordable. Dubby's drinks come out to about $1 per drink, much cheaper than Starbucks or any of those canned energy drinks. To learn more, visit w.gg.com/discount/MRTipton33 and place your order today. Use promo code MrTipton33 and save today. Dubby Energy, be better. Are you a fellow car guy? I have a 2008 Ford Mustang GT convertible, and nothing makes me happier in that car than when it's nice and clean. And you know who helps me get there? RevAutoCarCare.com. They help me get that pony looking as nice and shiny and ready for any of the car meetups that are all around the great city of El Paso. Spoil your car and go to RevAutoCarCare.com/Tipton and view all the inventory they have and find out what works for you to help make your ride shine. RevAutoCarCare.com/Tipton. Use promo code Tipton33 at checkout to save 15%. We all know there's hundreds of betting sites out there, but don't be fooled. Some sites are legal in some states only. Some sites pay in Bitcoin, and some sites have even been hacked. BetUS, however, has been in business for over 30 years. Future bets are paying out in the thousands, and if you act right now, you can still bet on the biggest games in sports. Visit BetUS.com, or you can click the link at nessp.info. BetUS, check it out and bet responsibly. Should probably turn my mic on. That'd be a great start. Everything was working good until I had to turn the damn microphone on. It is the Tipping Point with Mike Tipton, hanging out with you here on a Tuesday, February 18th. Yesterday was a fun time for your boy. Gary Bryant saying, what's good, Tip? Good morning to you, Gary. Hope that you are having a fantastic day here. A lot of stuff that I want to get to. All these creations saying good morning to you as well. Bonjour, mon ami. Comment allez-vous aujourd'hui? All right, so obviously we're live, YouTube, X, Facebook, and of course on Roku via National Streaming Sports. Shout out to our friends over at National Streaming Sports. Also presented to you by our friends over at W Energy. I was about to turn this over to the side and then realized that that is open, and that would have been a terrible idea. One of these days I'll be a little more professional. I sincerely doubt it. Also, we got to work on like getting the logo for left-handed people, right-handed people. There you go. For all of you, you get to show off all of that stuff. Gary Bryant saying French toast, French fries. That's all I got. It's actually surprising to people that I can speak a little bit of French, a little bit of German, a little bit of Spanish. One of the hidden talents that I have is the ability to I guess learn languages, which I think is pretty cool. I want to eventually learn like Italian and stuff like that, but we'll see. We'll see how all that goes. Or maybe I should just master a language because I can hardly speak English. All right, but yesterday, obviously we know with the end of the football season and with All-Star season around us that the sports news isn't going to be as involved or as intricate. And you can like look on ESPN right now and they're still talking about stuff from the weekend. And that goes to show you how this time of the year starts to slow things down, right? Luckily for me, yesterday, my guy Danny Hoban and I, we got approved for next week for the Tipping Point to be live at spring training in Arizona. We're going to be there as the Cleveland Guardians take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. So we might go live. Can't even say might. I am going to go live from Phoenix next Monday. So we'll see how all that goes. Maybe we can do some player interviews, things like that, getting to know a little bit about the Arizona Diamondbacks as we are cultivating our relationship here with Tipton Sports Broadcasting Network and the Arizona Diamondbacks. For those that don't know, yes, I'm in El Paso, Texas. The Arizona Diamondbacks are about 200 miles, maybe 150 miles closer to El Paso than El Paso is to the Texas Rangers in Dallas. That, again, how expansive the entire state of Texas is. I think I mentioned this the other day. We are actually closer to the San Diego Padres than we are to the Houston Astros, which is, again, mind-blowing to me. But it is what it is. We're growing our relationship with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Danny is going to be launching a new podcast here on the Tipton Sports Broadcasting Network called Danny on the Diamond, going and covering basically the entire season of the Arizona Diamondbacks, talking about the stories of the teams that are coming in to face them and all of that good stuff. So next week on Monday, man, it's going to be another busy weekend for your boy because over the weekend I'm going to be covering the United States women's national team in Glendale, Arizona. Figured I'd knock out two birds with one stone. Let's get a spring training game in. I've never been to a spring training game. I've been to a grand total of 2 Major League Baseball games, a ton of minor league baseball games. My guy Gary Bryant might remember this team, the Kinston Indians, the Carolina Mudcats. I was all about those teams, man. Those Thirsty Thursdays, those Military Thursdays where you get a pitcher of Yingling for like $2. That was my spot the entire time that I was in Goldsboro, North Carolina. Gary Bryant saying that's unbelievable. Thank you, Gary. I'm trying, man. I'm working. Always trying to get some stuff done here to grow the profile of this show. Now, clearly, I know I've got to become a little more professional. Luckily, I have Danny there. He keeps me on track. I think what I need to start doing is having other guest hosts on to help keep the ADHD from taking over the entirety of the show. And I don't say that as like a negative, right? Like I kind of like the weirdness that this show goes off of. Yesterday, Augustine sends me a message, and he's like, man, what a show. And I was like, yeah, dude. I told them, though. I told you guys, National Stream of Sports, I'm a different kind of dude. But if you want real sports coverage, the good stuff, the in-your-veins type stuff, my dude, Tommy Canazza saying, good morning, Tip. Good morning to you, Tommy. Hope that you are doing fantastic this beautiful, beautiful Tuesday morning. I can feel the sun is starting to get warmer, right? We don't have to worry about all the cold weather. I think I saw a thing today that was like, it's going to be windy in El Paso. Oh, man, that's awesome. Gary Bryant saying, yeah, I know the Kinston Indians. I did a few radio shows there years ago. Miss those times. Dude, whenever I lived in North Carolina, again, we didn't have kids. So it was just my wife and I. Like, we were going out every time that we could, like a great group of people. We had a group from Seymour Johnson's Air Force Base that would go out to all of the baseball stadiums that were out there. I mean, that Zebulon Stadium with the Carolina Mudcats, I remember going out there and just having a ball and like going up into like the nice area that's, you know, inside the, I guess, the clubhouse or whatever it is that they've got upstairs where you can like have nice food and stuff like that. Not your traditional baseball food, but going up into that stadium in Zebulon and getting some of the best coffee I've ever had in my life. And that's not like hyperbole. We're talking about that was like, another word was going to come out there. That was about 13 years ago, maybe 14 years ago. And that is still the standard of coffee that I've had. And that was like my favorite, one of my favorite baseball memories. That stadium in Kinston, I can't remember the name of it right now, but I remember it was like built in 1912. Just such a historic baseball stadium there. Like it was, man, I love it. I actually still have somewhere in here a Kinston Indians hat and a Carolina Mudcats like blanket and stuff. There we go, Granger Stadium. Man, Gary, it makes me happy that you can like jog my memory about things that happened in North Carolina. I'm telling you, it was I left North Carolina in 2012, so that's 13 years ago, right? And I still just have such a great fond memory of it. I've got to try to find my way back there. Maybe I do the minor league baseball tour. One of my dudes that I went to a basic training with, Corey Kamershak, currently working with Texas Tech and Texas Tech's athletic department. There's not a lot of sports going on this week, guys. At least, stuff has been, kind of on the shelf, right? So it's going to be a lot of let's get nostalgic on some stuff, right? But my guy Corey Kamershak and I, we went to basic training together. He got out, we both got out roughly the same time. I decided I wanted to get a degree in psychology. Yes, I actually have a ton of history in psychology. That's why whenever I talk about like how the mental aspect of sports is, that's kind of where I'm coming from, right? He went, got his degree in journalism from Arizona State University. He winds up going to ESPN. I do my job interview at ESPN. We have lunch and stuff like that. So we went to basic training together and we both worked at ESPN together, just, years apart. And he was working with the UFC. Now he's working with the Texas Tech football program, putting up all the awesome hype videos you see with Texas Tech. But he went on, and this has been like goals for me, a tour of every single baseball stadium in the United States. Now he's still going on it, right? Because there's a ton of baseball stadiums, but he's been to all 30 Major League Baseball stadiums. And I want to say it's about 60 or 65 minor league baseball stadiums. And for me, man, that's what I love, right? Like I just want to go do that. Like I I think this year what I want to try to do for just this show, or even if it's just me, because I don't know how many people would care about this, I want to try to go to all of the college football stadiums in the state of Texas. So I'm talking about the Sun Bowl, which I've obviously been to a bunch of times, but I can't say, hey, I've been there last year, right? So I want to go to the Sun Bowl. I want to go down to Sol Ross. I want to go to all of the little football cities that are around the state of Texas and just experience a football game and tailgating in all of those areas, which sounds weird coming from a damn near 50-year-old man, right? But you know what? I want to go party. I'm still young at heart until, eventually my cholesterol and all that catches up to me. Gary Bryant saying, yeah, me too. The Kinston Indians are no longer there. It's an independent league team now. Fayetteville, North Carolina, A-ball Astros affiliate. The Mudcats are still playing. Oh, man, that kind of makes me sad because our El Paso Diablos, and I've been learning a lot about the El Paso Diablos. I'm doing a documentary, which should be coming out a little bit later on this year. I'm doing a documentary on former El Paso Diablos baseball owner Jim Paul, and learning about the history of the El Paso Diablos, going from the Diablos to the Sun Kings, and further back to what was it, 1883, when they were the El Paso Browns. And it just reminds me like how rich baseball history is, not just in Kinston, North Carolina, but in El Paso and in throughout the United States. So that to me, it's awesome to learn that history. And I want to say it was 2002, 2003. I'm a little fuzzy on the dates right now because I'm leading up to that date of when the El Paso Diablos got sold to a team in St. Louis. I believe they wound up becoming the Memphis team. And El Paso didn't have affiliated baseball, professional baseball, from 2003 up until the El Paso Chihuahuas came around. And I want to say 2014, 2015. And it was all independent league baseball. And I remember going to some of these independent league baseball games thinking to myself, Jesus Christ, I can go out there and pitch against these guys. And I did. I for a small period of time, I was a batting practice left-handed pitcher for the El Paso Diablos whenever they were an independent league team. And even then, with that, a lot of those guys weren't able to take me yard. I should be taking yard all the time. Marlene Salcedo saying, "Good morning, Tip." The Fayetteville Woodpeckers, man. You still hear it in my voice. I apologize, guys. Hold on. That trip to Mexico is going to kill me. I can't even blame it on that trip to Mexico. It's got to be something else. Um, but yeah, like what I want to do is I want to start getting all of like the minor league baseball hats. Oh, I thought I had it in here. I thought I had it next to me. I don't. It was my San Antonio Missions flying chanclas hat. I have like all of the El Paso Chihuahuas hats, way too many El Paso Chihuahuas hats, jerseys, things like that. That's what I love, like those things like that. So, man, like the Fayetteville Woodpeckers, I can imagine what that hat looks like. I think I'm gonna let's see if we can find it. Again, not a lot going on in the world of sports, guys. So if you got sports stuff you want to talk about, please put it in the comment section. Please let me know. One of the things I did want to talk about today was a movie, a movie that I watched yesterday. I guess it was a documentary. I can't really call it a movie, but it was of the 1992 Dream Team, right? And you might have seen this if you were watching any of the NBA All Star stuff. It was a documentary created by Grant Hill, former NBA player Grant Hill. And it was about how the USA Select Team beat the Dream Team in a scrimmage game. I'm a huge basketball nerd. I already knew that story. It was one of those things where it's like, okay, well, like I just want to watch this to watch this so that way I can be like, I want to hear it again, right? Gary's saying he's into obscure sports right now. Bowling, table tennis. I think the last time I watched bowling was, I want to say, was it Pete Weber? The "Who do you think you are? I am." Whenever he won, like I think that was the last time I watched bowling. I don't even know if that was a long time ago, but it was some of those like early Sunday mornings at Seymour Johnson Air Force Base where I was doing jack squat because I had to wait for defueling aircraft to call in. Man, maybe that's what I got to get into, right? Like it reminds me of dodgeball, where Gordon's like, "Oh, I got obscure sports quarterly." I gotta watch that movie. I love that movie. But yeah, like so, I'm watching this documentary and I'm loving every minute of it, and I realize like I'm obviously their target audience, right? If you make time out of your day, and normally on Mondays, I'm watching Monday Night Raw. Yes, you can tell by all the stuff behind me here. Still love wrestling. Tommy Cananza will never get over that city. Jesus Christ, man, this cough. It was also, Tommy, just so you know, it was also by a place called Morehead City. So Seymour Johnson Air Force Base, close to Morehead City. It genuinely felt like they were just messing with people. Like they're just effing with us. Seymour Johnson Air Force Base, Morehead City, and then in between Greenville and Seymour Johnson Air Force Base was White Hill. You knew what you were doing, North Carolina. Like I genuinely feel like North Carolina knew what they were doing with all of the innuendo that they had with their names. Tommy Canazzo saying he wants to live there. One of these days, I'm gonna like read online that Tommy Carranza has become the mayor of Morehead City. I want that for you. I need that to happen for you, Tommy. I'll go over there. We could watch Kinston Indian games. We can go visit the Carolina Mudcats. Destiny also reminded me there were streets called Slocum. Like I mean, there's just they knew what they were doing. They had to have known. And like I remember reading the plaque because yes, I'm one of those nerds. Whenever I go to a historical site, I read the plaque. At least I try to. Most people try to just keep me moving, so I had to learn how to speed read. And I remember just that, like whenever I'm reading about who Seymour Johnson was, I was like, man, this dude didn't do enough to get a base named after him. Gary Bryant saying, yep, my hometown is 35 minutes away from Morehead City. Beach and fishing town. Oh, yeah, man. Slocum Village in Havelock, North Carolina. Like, I get it. You know, words change, verbiage changes, right? Like, we were talking about this a couple of days ago, maybe a couple of weeks ago. Jerry Jones talking about how he needs him some more glory hole. Glory hole to Jerry Jones had a different meaning. To us, it has a completely different meaning. But Jerry Jones is still going to go out there and be like, I need me some glory hole. There's no way, none, in the time that this city was created, Goldsboro, North Carolina, that Johnson was not used as a nickname for a phallic member of the male appendages. So to give a place Seymour Johnson, you knew what you were doing. Like, you had to have known what you were doing, or whoever's in charge of the entirety of the Air Force to be like, as a matter of fact, like, oh, let me look this up real quick because I've got to try to figure this out. Like when was Johnson? Because it's the same thing with like Richard, right? Like when were these words used as secondary or tertiary descriptions of male appendages? Every time I say that word, I know it creeps somebody out there, right? It's along the lines of like moist. Crazy how I go from talking about Michael Jordan. Now, you know what? Michael Jordan grew up in Wilmington, North Carolina, tying it all in together, baby. Woo! Look at that. That's called professionalism. For those of you that question it, there's no way in hell. Just none. Yeah, so you got, I think that's what I'm going to do one of these days is just come up with words that people don't like and use those words, sprinkle them into the conversation. I do a thing that I like to call songversating people. So I come up with like lines from a song and I'll see how much of those lines I can get through without people realizing that I'm actually just typing the words of a song. I think my record has been like I've gone through the chorus twice. So, or gone through the hook twice. So, I mean, I'm getting pretty good at it, guys. Oh, man. Yesterday was a struggle for your boy, not being able to sleep. So I'm going to Google, and I can imagine what this is going to do to my Google search. How long has Johnson been used I guess as a synonym? Yeah. As a synonym. Wow. Jesus Christ. Since the 1860s, the word Johnson has been used as a synonym to describe a male body part. Since the 1860s, at least according to Google AI, right? Like maybe I've got to look something else up there, but at least according to Google AI, that word has been used to describe a male appendage since the 1860s. Whoever in the Air Force at the time, and I want to say it had to have been like the 1950s, that decided to name Seymour Johnson Air Force Base, Seymour Johnson Air Force Base, had to have known what the hell they were doing. Oh, yeah. Oh, no, I knew about Climax. Oh, man, I totally forgot about those. You have Hookertown, North Carolina, and Climax, North Carolina. Tommy, Morehead or Climax? Which one do you want to be the mayor of? Jesus, man. Like, it's... I've got to look up now. Like, I've got to see if there's other names like that in other states. Like, I'm sure there has to be, right? Like, Intercourse, Pennsylvania. My friends got me the other day. If you're watching Bob, Jim, and Pat, James and Pat were talking about Lettitz Pennsylvania, but they called it Latits. And I thought because they're the ones from Pennsylvania that's the way that it's called is Latits. So the whole time I'm just sitting here like, oh yeah, Latits, Pennsylvania. And then later on, 5 hours deep into the show, they let me know that it was Lettits, Pennsylvania. Tommy saying Moorhead, LOL all day. Climax. Climax comes with it. Moorhead, then Climax. Oh man, now I got to go to Google Maps. Like, let's see how long it's going to take us to go from Moorhead to Climax. Roku, I'm sorry. I feel like back-to-back days. I'm getting out ahead of it. This is where we're going right now. Moorhead City to Climax, North Carolina. Oh man. Lizard Lake, North Carolina. I feel like Gary is just going over the map of North Carolina right now. I love it though. Okay. So you start in Moorhead. In order to get to Climax is 3 hours and 39 minutes. You're talking about some stamina right there. Tommy's saying you're getting fired today, Tip. Man, maybe. But like this is the thing, right? Like my show has always been just a lazy river. Wherever the conversation takes us is where the conversation takes us. And today, if the conversation is taking us from Moorhead to Climax, I'm just going to lay back and enjoy it. Oh, man. Just sit back, hands behind your head, let your eyes roll back a little bit. 3 hours and 39 minutes to go from Moorhead to Climax. So, I mean, you got some time. 3 times of this show. Gary Bryant saying it's all coming from memory. My dude, cheers to you. Shout out to W Energy. Jesus. Oh, okay. Okay. I gotta get it together, guys. I really gotta get it together. Because what I was gonna say is in order to make it that 3.5 hour trip from Moorhead to Climax, you need W Energy. Damn it, I messed that up. You need W Energy. W Energy, it's what gets me through all these shows. It's what gets me through my days. I didn't drink W Energy yesterday, and I felt the crash at around 11 o'clock. W Energy, I'm making sure I'm drinking it today. You can use up to 2 scoops per 10 or 16 ounces. I put 20 ounces in today with 2 scoops. Your boy's going to be on one. I need all the energy in the world to get me through this Tuesday today because I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning, didn't fall asleep again until about 4:45, then woke up at 6, and I'm just dying at the moment right now. Oh, man. Well, that W energy, you can see it right there, right? No adverse reaction to the way that I drink it. None of that like feeling that you get with a ton of other energy drinks that are out there. I mean, it's all good. I've really got to start reading these before I post them up. But Marlene, that is fantastic. Tommy can also say 2 minutes. I drive fast. Hey, as long as you get there, my guy. As long as you get there. That's all that matters. He's got a private jet. Oh, Jesus Christ. So yeah, yesterday I was watching. It was my birthday, right? So I decided I'm watching stuff for me. I was watching Gone in 60 Seconds. I started watching. Obviously, I'm a weird person. A lot of OCD traits with me. I watch The Big Bang Theory during dinner because that's one of the things that I like to do. And after that, I strategically and purposely made sure that I was watching the documentary of We Beat the Dream Team. And as I'm watching We Beat the Dream Team, I'm getting super nostalgic, right? Because I get to see a man that I share a birthday with in Michael Jordan. And they're telling all these amazing stories about like the competitor that Michael Jordan was. And or kind of probably still is. And then they're talking about obviously all the things that kind of surrounds that team of the dream team, all the folklore, all of the ways that they kind of dominated basketball and brought basketball to a global audience. The way that teams would like genuflect to Michael Jordan, like going up to them and doing all of that stuff. Marlene Salcedo saying, bro, you watch Big Bang Theory, but not Star Wars? Blasphemy. I guess I should watch Star Wars to get some of the references, but I feel like it's in pop culture enough that, it kind of makes I transitive property. Because I watch Big Bang Theory, ergo I have watched Star Wars. Although I will say I am getting more and more interested in trying to watch Star Wars. I got some messages yesterday where I'm like, you know what? I'm in. I'm all in. Like Jerry Jones, but actually all in. Right? Like not, I guess not like Jerry Jones. Like I'm actually going to do what it takes to try to watch Star Wars. End goals here, right? End goals. Just know that there's a goal at the end of the tunnel, something at the end of the tunnel that I eventually want to do. And I think that it'll be a phenomenal time. Okay. But I watched the documentary and like what it's doing is it's taking me back, man. And I was 8 years old when the Dream Team came out, right? So we're talking about like formative years of this is where I become a more hardcore basketball fan. Like my brother was already a huge basketball guy. So I was watching Bulls games whenever they would put Bulls games on NBC, and you got the dun 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 dun. And I remember just like being in awe of this man, and then hearing that we share a birthday and this and that, and just watching that '92 Dream Team, and then seeing people like Karl Malone, who looked like he was sculpted out of granite, David Robinson, who looked like he came out of a GD comic book, right? I'm watching these guys, and I'm being transported back to my formative years of why I love basketball. And as I'm watching this, like I'm getting to witness again, the video that they have, that super grainy 1992 video that they did where we thought that was the greatest it can ever be. And I'm watching like Grant Hill, a young Grant Hill still in college. And I'm watching, Chris Webber and Eric Montross. And for those that don't know, Eric Montross in the 90s at UNC was an absolute monster. That dude was a unit. And Penny Hardaway and Allen Houston and you're like going over all of these young players that are taking on the Dream Team, right? David Robinson, Patrick Ewing, Karl Malone, Charles Barkley, Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan, Clyde Drexler, John Stockton. My God, dude. You go over that entire roster. Chris Mullins. You go over that entire roster. Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, like Jesus Christ. That list of names. And then Christian Laettner. You have to throw Christian Laettner in there. Not a big Duke guy. Obviously, you can tell by my Jordan ties, I'm not going to go Duke over Carolina. Sorry, Gary, if you're a Duke guy. Although I will say this, I was always surprised at the amount of NC State people in North Carolina. I shouldn't have been, but I always thought it was just two. But that triangle, man. Marlene Salcedo saying, aren't going back to the Big Bang Theory, aren't they more Star Trek people in Big Bang? They're a little bit of both. Like anything nerdy, that's what they do. Tommy Canazzo saying Jerry Jones thinks All In is spending $8 million on 10 free agents. Jerry Jones would spend $8 million on like 40 free agents if he could. If the NFL would allow him to, he would. And it wouldn't even be good free agents. It would be like the Dallas Cowboys have signed Michael Tipton to be their third string running back, and he's coming off of multiple knee and ankle surgeries and can't feel the bottom part of his leg. But you know what? We're going to trot him out there because we think he can get us at least half a yard all season long. Marlene Salcedo saying, dude, I was so in love with Scottie Pippen. That was actually one of my nicknames back in middle school was Pippen. I guess Tipton, Pippen, like it kind of goes in together. But like that was the guy that I would really model my game after whenever I was playing back in the day, was like the Scottie Pippen style of basketball. That's who I think LeBron plays more like, is Magic and Scottie, more than he plays like Jordan. But that's a different conversation for a different day. And I watched this documentary, and I mean, I am just laser focused on this. I'm sure my family was super annoyed because all I'm doing is looking at this thing, and I've got this big, goofy grin on my face. I know the whole story, right? And if you don't know the story, it's a group of college kids who were supposed to represent the United States in the Olympics. They didn't get to because that was the first time the NBA allowed or was allowed to have professional players play in the Olympics. This group was supposed to represent the United States in the Olympics. So they had a chip on their shoulder, right? These dudes took our spot to try to get our gold medal, right? So they obviously had that chip on their shoulder. And they go in there and they're like, we've got to make a name for ourselves against these dudes. We can't just let them roll over us. The game gets played. It's just a scrimmage, right? The scrimmage gets played. And at the end of the scrimmage, the college team beats the dream team. The USA select team beats the dream team 62-54. All the conspiracies come out with this, right? Like they shut off the scoreboard. We can't talk about it. We can't do this and that. Chuck Daly threw the game, according to Coach Mike Krzyzewski. And it kind of just like it's one of those really awesome stories, man. I cannot recommend enough watching this documentary. We beat the dream team. It's going to be, if you don't like basketball, it'll be something that kind of opens your eyes, right? You get to see just the insides of what it was like for like these kids. And the crazy part about it is all of the people that were involved, all but two, are still with us today. And it's Chuck Daly and Eric Montross. Rest in peace to both of them, right? But they get to actually tell the story from their first-hand perspective. I'm a huge history guy. I love history. I was listening to a podcast earlier today, Pablo Torre Finds Out, and it was talking about Jesse Owens and how in the 1936 Olympics in Berlin, Jesse Owens gets his 4 gold medals, and he gets, along with the gold medals, the party that was in charge in Germany at the time. I don't know if I can say the word without being like shut off on social media or stuff like that. So I'm not going to say that word, but you know who I'm talking about. The party that was in charge in Germany in the 1930s gave all of the Olympic athletes, at least the ones that won a gold medal, a sapling from an oak tree. And Jesse Owens comes back to the United States, plants this oak tree, and it's been alive ever since. And despite, calls to destroy it because we don't want anything to do with that, which I totally get, the city of Cleveland has preserved it, kept it as a piece of history to honor Jesse Owens. And I'm listening to that thing, and I'm just sitting here thinking to myself, man, how great would it be to have listened to Jesse Owens talk about why he brought that back and why he felt it was so important to plant it? Because all of the other oaks that were given to American athletes were never planted. They were just tossed away. So why would Jesse Owens, after being in Berlin, Germany for that Olympics with that person in charge, why would he come back and plant that tree? There's all the speculation around it, but I would have loved to have heard what Jesse Owens' mindset was at the time. Or maybe he just really wanted an oak tree. I'm the same way. I love trees. Maybe that's all he wanted to do. Gary Bryant with one of the coolest comments I've ever seen, saying, I remember seeing Jordan play in high school. His high school and mine were the same conference in 1981. You saw the hunger and grit in him back then. No one expected him to be who he became. Tommy Canassa saying, Gary Bryant, that's awesome. You're also really old, but that's still awesome. I just got splashed on my own face. Moorhead. Climax, North Carolina. That's where I was. Just got splashed on my own face. Marlene Salcedo saying, what's it called and where can I watch it? It is called We Beat the Dream Team, and it streams on HBO Max. I think what I'm going to start doing is watching a lot more documentaries and stuff like that, just to be able to kind of because I love documentaries, and maybe I'm just speaking to myself because again I'm a huge sports nerd. But I loved that documentary. I saw one of the reviews because I went to Rotten Tomatoes and I looked at the comment section like an idiot, and this person writes back, "It's not the tightest documentary nor the most visually engaging sports film, but Grant Hill and his friends spin a good yarn about that day." I always love whenever people take themselves too seriously as like film critics and stuff like that. Tommy Cananza saying he came back to our high school during the summer after his freshman year at Carolina to do a hoop camp with us for the day. An amazing time. Damn, that is awesome, Gary. Like genuinely, that is awesome. Like I love hearing stories like that, and like you get to see one of you get to see like one of the greatest of all times and like their origin stories and stuff like that, right? And you realize that Jordan, yes, he's a sociopath when it comes to playing the game of basketball, but you kind of got to witness where it came from, right? Like getting cut from your basketball team and him inviting and Jordan inviting the person that took his spot on the basketball team to his um to his Hall of Fame speech was just insane, right? Like that's the type of sociopath that Michael Jordan was. Augustine saying, "What did I miss? I'm barely tuning in. Larry Bird was the greatest player ever. Christian Laettner so underrated. Laettner was the first player above 6'9" to have an outside shot. Larry Bird was 6'9". Oh yeah, like when you hate a team for winning a Super Bowl. Hating a team isn't a good thing. Yes, it is. And I hated that team before they won the Super Bowl. Tommy Canazzo saying, "Stop hitting the cough button tip. Embrace the cough." My dude, it is. Uh, I've got to figure something out with this, man. I've done like the cough syrups. I've had like the Hall's throat lozenges, teas, and like all kinds of stuff to try to help this thing out. I think what I've got to do is just like let it go, right? In the words of Elsa, "Let it go, let it go." That's the most singing you're getting from me today because my voice sounds like absolute dog crap. But when doesn't it? Jesus Christ. My guy, Stephen Michael Puga, tuning in. One of the rare Eagles fans that I know that I can say this with absolute certainty. Not only, not only is he just the most feminine man I've ever met, but he's got the softest hands. And he's such a good dude. Carrying will take you from Moorhead to climax. Doesn't matter how long it goes. Puga, I got nothing but love for you, dude. In all seriousness, though, Stephen Michael Puga, one of the comics that hangs out over at the comic strip, you can catch him hosting at the comic strip. Hilarious, hilarious dude. Dark humor. I'm warning you right now. A lot of dark humor, but trust me, it's such a vibe to watch him out there. Puga, let me know the places that you're going to be in the next couple of weeks. Congratulations to you and the other miscreant fans of that garbage ass squad that caught lightning in a bottle and won a championship, their second championship in 59 years. It only took 59 years to be 3 behind the Dallas Cowboys. I sound like a hating ass hater, but I will go to my grave this way. Tommy Canazzo saying, "Try sipping some scissor." I'm down, man. Whatever it is that I've got to do, I will do it. Fred Smith was the guy's name. Fred Smith was the guy that beat out Michael Jordan. Jordan invites him to his Hall of Fame speech to go next level trolling. Like, if not for you, I wouldn't be here. Again, the sociopath that is Michael Jordan. I love the stories about just how competitive he is. Gary Bryant saying, "Rub some Vicks Vapor Rub on the bottom of your feet. Put socks on. You'll stop coughing. No lie." Oh man, I've had like the Vicks around the nose, the Vicks on the neck, and all that stuff. I sweat a lot. You can probably see me sweating right now. It's also because I'm a big fat guy, so maybe that's the reason why I'm all sweaty. But man, I don't. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll do that. Augustine saying embrace the cough, dog crap, and it's saying fly Eagles, fly. You would be an Eagles fan, like you would be. Well, it was what, Rams, then Patriots, and now Eagles. I'm sure there was a little time period there where you were a fan of the Chiefs. So you know what, my guy, wherever the bandwagon goes, hit your lasso to that sumbitch and keep going. Augustine saying, I love how Mexican people are so religious and at the same time, so all kinds of witchery. Do all kinds of witchery. I'm kind of with that as well. I kind of love that as well. And Gary, we're gonna have to get you into a part of the culture, man. You can't just call it Vicks Vapor Rub. It's Vicks Vapor Rub. Uh-oh. Getting some random messages right now. Boom, got approved to do some cool stuff over the week with the U.S. women's national team. Your boy is excited about this upcoming weekend. I feel like I'm doing way too much. I'm also going to be in Salt Lake City in a couple of weeks as well. Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Augustine saying, no, 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 no. Never the Chiefs. I never liked the way that Mahomes runs. When I see Patrick Mahomes run, it reminds me of like whenever you see those, the early marathon runners from back in the day, or like those documentaries where they show the I'm not posting up that comment, Augustine. The documentaries where they show like the person that beat the mile for the first time, ran a 4-minute mile for the first time, and they run straight up like this, but they're also wearing like wingtip shoes, and they have buckles on their socks and stuff like that. Like that's how I believe Patrick Mahomes runs. Tommy Cananza, he gets it. Vaporu. I was told the other day whenever I went to a doctor's appointment, they're like, you have a chronic sinusitis. And I always make the joke that it's not sinusitis, it's sinusitis. Okay, yes, I know, but it's just I don't want to be assassinated. Okay, I want to go to a place and live. I learned a while back ago, especially earlier this year, that the that a comment that I made about a team that was from Utah made it to that team in Utah, and I was not allowed to do certain things because of that team in Utah. And I'm just trying my best to be a halfway decent human being at the outset. And then whenever I get there, show them that I am the most deplorable person that there has ever been, outside of maybe one other person who is all about genocide and stuff. I'm not on that level. Tommy Canazza saying Mahomes looks like he wears Huggies, LOL. Gary Bryant, ELGAES, Eagles. That's arguably the best way to spell Eagles. Like it genuinely is. Augustine talking about certain stuff, saying you are deplorable. I know. I embrace it. I embrace the deprivation that is me, the depravity that is me. Anyway, yeah, go back, watch that movie. We beat the dream team. I kind of wanted to start my second half, quote unquote second half, because the NBA All-Star game isn't in the middle of the season. It's kind of already in the second half of the season. But I wanted to start my second half predictions of the season with the NBA, because now it's the NBA's time to shine. Right? Real Eagles fans misspell Eagles. Every time I see that, I've got to look up the video of that too. So I think I'll do that tomorrow. I think I'll start the show off with that tomorrow. Is the mayor of Philadelphia misspelling the Eagles? But that reminds me of the time that the mayor of the city of Miami-Dade County, was talking about how the Miami Heat had won their first championship. It was Dwayne Wade and Shaquille O'Neal, and she gets up on the podium and she's talking about how great this player is. And she's like, and his name is Wayne Jones. But she was talking about Dwayne Wade, and she messed up his name, Wayne Jones. And you just hear like a silence over the crowd, and like one random disembodied voice from very far away is like, who that is. Like it's just great. It's great. I've got to find that video. I'll put it up here for you all. It's part of the inside jokes, right? If you tune into the show, you continue, supporting, doing all the stuff it is that we do, you will see that there are a ton of inside jokes that we will get to here as well. Gary Bryant saying, I still hate Christian Laettner. That was a great documentary. That one really was. And I'm kind of the same way, man. Like, obviously, you guys know, as a youth, I loved Michael Jordan. Whenever he retired, that's whenever I became a Spurs fan. I was a Jordan fan, but I was a Spurs fan whenever he retired the first time. Just fell in love with that team. Avery Johnson, the little general. Anthony Carr was on that team. David Robinson, Sean Elliott, Vinny Del Negro. Vinny Del Negro follows me on Twitter. It's one of my favorite things in the world, right? But obviously, because of my ties to Jordan, I fell in love with UNC as a kid. As I got older, it wound up becoming Texas Tech, as you can see back there, kind of in the background, right? It became Texas Tech. But I always still have, like, Carolina blue is still my favorite color. It's the best blue in the world. I don't care what you say, Duke fans. But I agree. I hate Christian Laettner. I hate everything Duke. Grayson Allen, hate him, right? Like, it's just the way that it is. Tommy Canon's saying the mayor of Philadelphia wants to call the Eagles America's team. Dude, they want to beat us so bad. Gary Bryant replies back to him, Filthy will always be Dallas's little brother. I love how so many teams out there want to be America's team. Augustine saying, why would you hate Duke? Mainly their fans. No. It was just, it always felt like they got the calls. It always felt like there was just that air of arrogance. It's a private school. A lot of people don't realize that. Duke being a private school, they always felt like they were better than everyone else, right? Like it was kind of like that thing. Especially people like Christian Laettner, man. Gary Brown saying, no, I still hate Christian Laettner, like for real, like genuinely. If I see him in a parking lot, I'm giving him a fist right to the mouth. I'm with you, my guy. Let's go. Let's do it. He was a part of this documentary yesterday, and I'm listening to everybody talk, and they're like doing their thing, and I'm like, why would they interview Christian Laettner when he got no play? Right? Sounds super feminine. Like why is he a part of this documentary? And then I had to take myself back and realize that Grant Hill from Duke is the reason why this documentary is even being produced right now. So obviously he's going to give his Dookie brethren some sort of love. And that's why Bobby Hurley was on the thing. Bobby Hurley surprised me when I found out that he played 6 years in the NBA. Augustine saying Laettner was an amazing college basketball player and a good NBA player. He was so underrated. I think in college he was fantastic, right? Like he and Bobby Hurley were fantastic. But Christian Laettner, to me, played in the wrong time. Like played in the NBA in the wrong time. Because it was still one of those times of like, you got to be a big, you got to be down in the paint, big, beefy men slapping beef against each other as they do turnaround jumpers that we call high percentage shots, which really aren't high percentage shots. But that's what you got to do. Back to the basket. You can't even see what you're going to shoot at until you turn around and hope that a big dude like Shaq isn't there to just block your shot and shove that thing right back down your throat. If Christian Laettner played in today's game, I think the dude would be a multi-time all-star. I genuinely believe that. But he's a horrible human being. Gary Bryant saying, right, Filthy is the side chick's son that wants to hang out with the real daddy's kids. Jeez. I feel like you read my biography. Tommy Carranza bringing them out, bringing it all out here. Just laying the hammer down on the Philadelphia Eagles, saying the Cowboys, 5-time Super Bowl champions, the Giants, 4-time Super Bowl champions, Washington, 3-time Super Bowl champions, Philadelphia, 2-time Super Bowl champions. It's kind of like I watched this thing from what's his damn name now? I can't think of his name. It'll come to me. It'll come to I'm thinking like his name is Pete, but I'm coming up with the wrestler Pete Holmes, right? And it's called Bat Canned. Like it's funny. He's dressed up as Batman and he's firing people, right? And he's about to fire Superman. And Superman's like, what you need to do is step aside and let the people with real superpowers do their job. And Batman's like, no. Remember that one time I beat that demon? And Superman's like, I held that demon down for you and hit it at the same time you did so that you could feel like you knocked it out. Kind of how a parent hits the piñata to make his kid feel better for breaking it. And then it cuts to Pete Holmes as Batman and he says, that's why Alfred always pre-hits the piñata. And I feel like that's what we're doing for the Philadelphia Eagles. We've pre-hit the piñata. We're holding it down for you just so that way you can try to play catch up. Like you're right there, little guy. We're cheering for you. We're right there. Gary Bryant saying he was decent as a pro, 14 points a game, 7 rebounds. He would dominate now. Yeah, he probably would. Going back to Christian Laettner. I don't know if I'd say dominant, but he would be, I think he'd be a good, like he'd be a multi-time all-star. I genuinely believe that. But I don't think he lived up to what he did at Duke, right? The legendary shot where he catches it off the fly, turns around, over Kentucky, bucket to win a championship. He was never the guy. And I think that's what kind of did him in. I think if a team was built around him and he could have been like a third option, back then he would have been fantastic. Now I think he would have been like your number 2 option, but they would have allowed him to shoot from the outside. We got to remember, back in the 90s, doesn't matter how good you were from shooting from outside, you had to get down there in the paint if you were a big dude. That was the knock on Magic Johnson, right? How can you be a 6'9" point guard? You need to be a power forward, get down there, and once again, big, beefy men slapping beef against each other. That's where it should have been. Augustine saying the Dallas Cowboys are the older brother that has been in jail for the last 30 years. Hey, so you're still your older brother. That just means whenever we get out of jail, you better walk right. You better step straight. Say it with your chest. Tommy Canassa saying it's cool that the NFC East is the only division that every team has won not only one but multiple Super Bowl championships. 14 Super Bowls have been won by the NFC East. I brought that up. I can't even say it the other day. It was a while ago. It was a long while ago about the dominance that the NFC East has had. I know that there's been a lot of years where the NFC East has been like the laughingstock of the NFL, but they have genuinely, historically been the benchmark for the NFL, right? Like you can look at a lot of divisions and there's teams there that haven't won a Super Bowl. Like you look at the AFC East, the Bills haven't won a Super Bowl. You look at, the other 2 teams outside of the Patriots, the Dolphins and the Jets haven't won them for over 50 years. Think about that, right? Like it's been a long time since those teams have won a Super Bowl. Then you go to like the NFC North, the Lions and the Vikings haven't won a Super Bowl. Then you go to like the NFC South, right? The Falcons and the Panthers haven't won a Super Bowl. You go to the AFC South and you've got the Texans, the Jags, the Titans, all of them haven't won a Super Bowl. The same thing with the NFC North, right? Like the Bengals and the Browns, 0 Super Bowl championships. I think the AFC West, it's going to be the Chargers, haven't won a championship. The NFC West, it's going to be the Cardinals, haven't won a championship. So if I'm not mistaken, not only has the NFC East had every team win a championship, and they're the only division that's had every team win a championship, they've done it twice, right? Like that's nothing to like blink at. That's a really cool thing. Gary Bryant saying our division has tough teams in it. To be honest, now we and the Giants have got to come up 100%. All right, everybody. I appreciate today's show. It was a weird one. Roku, I apologize, the Roku audience. I'm about to lose you in a couple of seconds. Everyone, I appreciate you tuning in. We will see you all tomorrow, and hopefully the show will be a little bit better. Not a lot better, but just a little bit.